In the new season, the Thunder are arguably the most anticipated team. This young squad, with an average age of just 24, filled their biggest gaps in the offseason by adding Caruso and Hardenstein, making them the league's top championship contender, second only to the Celtics. What's even more frightening is that their core player, SGA, seems to have made further progress this season. He has adjusted his three-point shooting form, which appears to have elevated his offensive game to a new level. So what exactly did SGA adjust in his three-point shot? And what kind of significance does this improvement hold for himself and the team? Tatum also made slight adjustments to his shooting form this summer. But unlike Tatum's minor tweaks, SGA has made significant changes to his three-point shooting form. He has even fundamentally altered his three-point shooting logic. Take the following play as an example. Previously, SGA's three-point shot was a standard set shot. He used a low elbow form, aiming for a quick release with his release point below his forehead. The logic behind this shooting form was to use a quicker release with minimal pre-shot motion, which was less physically demanding and allowed for deeper range. However, the problem with this form was that since the release point was near the forehead, it lacked resistance to defensive pressure. When shooting face-to-face with a defender, it was easy to get blocked or disrupted. SGA couldn't put up for threes directly in front of a defender. Instead, he had to rely on his ball handling skills to create enough space before taking a three. For example, in the following play, against Luka's defense, SGA had to go between the legs, then use a step-back move before launching a three. In this scenario, Luka had already given him a couple of feet of space, providing SGA with a decent shooting window. If SGA had a pull-up jump shot, all those rhythm-setting or space-creating moves before the shot could have been completely skipped. Due to the limited resistance to defensive pressure, this type of shooting form has situational restrictions. For instance, if there is only 1 second left in the game and the team needs a three-pointer to tie or win, SGA would have a hard time using this form because he wouldn't have time to create space with his dribbling. This would result in him, despite being the team star, struggling to take responsibility in such moments, an awkward situation. Additionally, without the ability to put up for a three, when forced to pick up his dribble, SGA would have no choice but to pass to a teammate instead of taking the shot himself, which is a clear downside of this shooting form. However, after being eliminated by the Mavericks last season, SGA spent the summer refining his pull-up three-point shot, completely transforming his shooting form into something entirely different. Let's take a look at this play. It's a clip from Canada's training camp before the Olympics. During practice, SGA faced defensive pressure, and without any extra movement, he dribbled to the three-point line and pulled up immediately. In this play, SGA used a very standard high elbow shot with the release point above his forehead, and he released the ball at the apex of his jump, a textbook jump shot. The logic behind this type of shot hardly needs explanation. Before Curry popularized the set shot, jump shots were the mainstream in the basketball world. Although they consume more energy, this shooting style is less affected by defense and harder to contest. It's an essential skill for superstars. In preseason, SGA has already fully adapted to this shooting form. He attempted 2 big jump shots against the Rockets. Look at the first shot. Facing Dillon Brooks, a player with all defensive team caliber defense, SGA made 2 left dribbles beyond the three-point line. Then, seeing Dillon was not tightly contesting him, he gathered the ball and put up for a three. Dillon did his best to contest the shot, but it still found the net. The second shot was against the 221cm tall Jabari Smith. In this play, SGA was even more decisive. After dribbling up the court, he didn't use any fakes, simply gathered and launched a jump shot three-pointer. From these 2 plays, we can see the confidence that SGA's new shooting form has brought him, as well as the change in his shooting logic. With the set short form, SGA needed his ball handling skills and driving threat to create enough space for a three. This type of three-point shooting can be described as an unexpected strike. With the jump shot form, however, SGA's three-pointer is like a sledgehammer, unstoppable. To defend it, defenders have no choice but to tightly contest him. But for SGA, who has elite driving ability, the consequence of a defender overcommitting is likely getting beaten off the dribble. It's worth noting that some fans have pointed out that SGA's jump shot form looks reminiscent of Kobe. In fact, SGA's three-pointer is modeled after Kobe's, as he tries to emulate Kobe's tough shot-making ability using the jump shot form. Ultimately, the change in SGA's three-point shooting form represents his further progress along the path of becoming an unstoppable isolation scorer. Over the past 2 seasons, SGA has already established himself as one of the best isolation scorers in NBA during the regular season. However, many people still felt he had some shortcomings, and few considered his offensive game to be better than that of his peer Luka, primarily due to his insufficient three-point shooting ability. Last season, even though SGA averaged over 30 points per game with an impressive 53.5% field goal percentage, his 35% three-point shooting and an average of just 1.3 made threes per game were still underwhelming compared to other scorers. As a result, while SGA frequently and consistently scored 30-plus points, he rarely delivered the explosive performances like Luka's 70-point game. His career high to date is just 44 points, and it's been challenging for him to single-handedly outscore an entire team. That is what we call scoring explosiveness. Looking at history, especially since the 2000s, every elite perimeter scorer who won the scoring title had an above-average three-point shot, and they could leverage their three-point shooting to deliver explosive scoring performances. For example, Luka's 70-point game or Kobe's legendary 81-point performance. Even for someone like KD, whose scoring explosiveness is considered relatively weaker among the best, he still averaged 1.9 made threes per game throughout his career, and his career high game relies heavily on three-point production. At just 26 years old, SGA's goal is clearly to be on par with historical superstars like Kobe and KD. He knows that to continue improving and take his game to the next level, he must rely on his three-point shooting. And now, he's back with a put-up three-pointer. SGA in the new season is bound to bring us some huge surprises. Perhaps the first thing he will do is to break his own scoring record. Of course, compared to the evolution of individual skills, SGA developing a put-up three-point shot is even more significant for the Thunder. We all know the Thunder like to run a 5-out lineup, primarily because it simplifies offensive creation. However, behind the 5-out lineup lies the fact that SGA relies heavily on spacing. SGA is undoubtedly an elite slasher and mid-range put-up shooter, but both of these skills require his teammates to clear out the paint for him and create one-on-one opportunities, which demands a high level of spacing. When there is a non-shooter like Giddey on the court, SGA's drives to the rim will often be met with heavy help defense. However, once SGA has a more reliable put-up three-point shot, his offense becomes less dependent on spacing. This is comparable to the Mavericks last season. To improve their defense, the Mavericks frequently used lineups with non-shooters alongside Luka and Irving, including Derrick Jones Jr., who has largely been left wide open throughout his career, and PJ Washington, who at best can be considered a partial floor spacer. Lively, meanwhile, isn't a threat from distance at all. Consequently, Luka frequently faced heavy help defense when driving to the rim, with opponents forcing him to pass to Jones and PJ. Even in these circumstances, Luka averaged a career-high 33.9 points during the regular season, winning the scoring title. And in the playoffs, despite being doubled almost every time he drove into the paint, he still averaged 28.9 points per game. This scoring output was largely thanks to his three-point shooting. In the regular season, Luka averaged 4.1 made threes per game at a 38.2% clip, second only to Curry in volume, making him one of the most efficient off-the-dribble three-point shooters in the league. In the playoffs, Luka averaged 3.1 made threes per game at 32.2%, which allowed him to still be the leading scorer between both finals teams, even while dealing with a knee injury. His three-point ability enabled him to overcome or even disregard the Mavericks' extremely poor offensive spacing. For the Thunder, if SGA can use his jump shot to elevate his put-up three-point shooting to another level, ensuring that he can produce high output even in a poor offensive environment, the team's lineup flexibility would greatly improve. For instance, the Thunder could play Chet at the 4 to maximize his help defense and rim protection, while using Hartenstein at the 5. They could then fill the 3 and 2 spots with Jalen Williams and Dort or Caruso. Although this isn't a fully spaced 5-out lineup, its size, rebounding, and interior defense will all be on a completely different level. And if this lineup faced the Mavericks, the outcome might not be a 6-game series like this year's playoffs. Taking it a step further, with SGA's improved ability to disregard spacing and the Thunder's increased lineup flexibility, they will be better equipped to handle all types of opponents. Whether it's facing the big-bodied Nuggets, the fully spaced Celtics lineup, or even last year's Mavericks team that eliminated them, they now have ways to respond. Furthermore, there are some tactical considerations. Compared to a set shot, the jump shot 3 has a broader range of tactical applications and can target more varied defensive schemes. The simplest example is the single-screen 3-point play. SGA can directly run a pick-and-roll with Hartenstein or Chet, and after gaining a little space, he can confidently gather and shoot without adjustment. Previously, SGA seldom used his tactic because his set shot required more space. If the defender was tight, he would opt to drive. However, with the new jump shot 3-pointer, SGA can more confidently put up for a 3, a move he couldn't execute before. Another scenario for the jump shot 3 is the dribble handoff 3-point play. The Thunder could design a play where Hartenstein holds the ball at the high post, and SGA uses an off-ball screen to get open, then receives the ball in a handoff to put up for 3. Of course, such a pure shooter tactic may not be immediately implemented in the new season, but undoubtedly, with his completely changed shooting form, SGA will unlock this off-ball skill in the future. So, keep an eye out for it. Now, for all the viewers, what kind of stellar performances do you think SGA, with his new jump shot 3-pointer, will deliver in the new season?